Nick heard a strange noise. He walked closer to check it out. Turns out it was Sophie, watching videos on the sly. He secretly snapped some photos. The next day, Sophie went to work as usual. Nick looked at her and thought about what had happened the night before. He followed her to the break room and called out to her as she was about to leave. Sophie never expected she'd been secretly photographed. She asked in confusion what he was talking about. Nick told her he'd seen what she'd been up to in the office the night before and pulled out the photos he'd taken. Sophie was at a total loss for what to do. She told Nick to name his terms, but Nick wasn't about to delete the photos so easily. This was leverage he'd finally gotten his hands on. With Sophie in his pocket, Nick started up the power drill at the office again. The employees all covered their ears, annoyed by the racket. The front desk clerk pushed the door open and asked Sophie if she wanted her to make him stop, but since Nick had something on her, Sophie had to lie and say the noise wasn't that loud. It didn't take long for Sophie to realize she couldn't go on like this. At noon, Sophie called Nick to the break room and asked him what it would take for him to delete the photos. Nick didn't make any unreasonable demands. He just said he'd delete the photos if Sophie treated him to a meal. That afternoon, the two of them went to a fast food restaurant. Nick tried to make conversation, asking non-stop about Sophie's daily life, but Sophie's mind was totally on the photos, and she didn't really pay attention to his questions. After the meal, Nick handed his phone to Sophie voluntarily and let her delete the photos herself, but once she finished deleting them, Sophie had no intention of giving the phone back. As payback for being secretly photographed, Sophie told Nick he had to do something bad too, so she'd have leverage over him. Under the curious stares of people around them, Nick had no choice but to let Sophie leave with the phone. Now he had to figure out how to get it back. When Sophie returned to the publishing house, she saw two executives arguing fiercely. She asked them what was going on, and learned that a female author signed with the publishing house had been harassed by a male author. To get revenge, the female author had leaked the male author's private photos. When Nick heard about this, he knew exactly what to do. A little while later, an employee spotted a woman's private photos on the company's official website. The executives were thrown into a panic, fearing the scandal would ruin the publishing house's reputation. Sophie immediately figured out Nick was behind it. Faced with everyone's questioning, Nick explained that a hacker had attacked their system. He managed to smooth things over without getting caught. Once everyone else had left, both Sophie and Nick broke into a smile. She pulled Nick's phone out of her desk drawer and handed it back to him. Nick's reckless stunt had made Sophie's heart race. She held the lipstick in her hand, and a bold new idea popped into her head.